Pleasant good morning to everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Carlos Brown Show. Yours truly, Carlos Brown. Here's what's trending on the Carlos Brown Show. Southern University basketball programs welcomes championships, both on the women and men's side. We're going to take a look back at those basketball preseason predictions. How close were they? How off were they? We will see. Then, I want you to put on your athletic director's hat. We're going to have a lively discussion. And here's what I mean. In light of Southern University success in the basketball programs, specifically, Coach Johnson, what should you do if you're in the athletic director's role? Give him an extension, give him a bonus, both, or leave it as the. I think we'll have fun with that discussion because the hardliner will come. That's Willa Brown. He will come with a hard policy. That's what's trending on the Carlos Brown Show. Now, let me introduce the panel. And they come in one by one, and I'm laughing already because that third point, put your athletic director's hat on. Oh, Willer, where art thou? We know there will be some hardness coming on that discussion.
Behind the ball.
Good morning, good afternoon to everybody.
Good morning.
Well, I feel a special way. Southern University women, basketball regular season champion. The men are, at least the last couple of games, they were announced that they had a share of the regular season championship. And I guess if they win today, which they should, but we shall see, then they will be the regular season champion. I think it's been probably quite a while. I'm sure it happened before where one school had the women and the men's regular season champions. Now, with that being said, the SWAC tournament is coming. And the slate is clean. For those who are participating, they will be 0-0. Thus, the pressure goes to, in my opinion, Southern University women and Southern University men in the tournament. But we shall see. Also, we're going to look back at those basketball preseason predictions. And, of course, Carlos is going over those basketball championships.
Should be. As you should. As you should.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I'll take that. But still, because you're in a one-bid league, you got to win the SWAC tournament championship. And, guys, I know in the past I've talked about, since it's a one-bid league, send the regular season champion. That has fallen on deaf ears. People disagree with that. I would say the majority disagree with that. So I won't bother you with that. But put on the athletic director's hat. I think you reward Coach Johnson. And look, I like to be consistent, Coach Pettaway. In the past, you can go look it up. I talked about bonuses instead of extending contracts or rolling them over. But in this case,
I say both.
Yeah, okay, both, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, not yet. Ossie and Charles. What do you think about extending that contract?
I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to agree with Coach Pettaway in this situation. I think that Coach Johnson should get both at this particular point. What an outstanding job he's done this season, taking a team that was where they were and putting them in the position to be in the driver's seat going into Atlanta. So why not reward him for the job that he's done? Plus, what's the possibility for Southern to be on top for the next couple of years?
Projections. Interesting. Charles?
As an athletic director, I want to take care of my coaches. in every way.
Mm-hmm.
And if it means extending, now in the state of Mississippi, the most you can have is 4 years paying with state money. So he's through year 2. So if he was a coach at Alcorn, the most he would get is a 2-year extension, which would refresh the contract to 4 years. I don't know what it is, for Southern, their system in Louisiana, but I would extend him, max the contract out, and I would give him the bonuses that all come with that. I know that's included in his contract, and he would be my coach, and I would do everything I can to keep him. Now, if LSU comes over the top and says they want him to be the next, or Tulane, there's nothing you can do about that. I mean, more money, there's not much you can do. But from Southern's perspective, from Roman Banks' perspective, from the administration's perspective, you want to do everything you can to keep him. He probably should have been a 2 seed last year, dropped to a 4, but still had a solid year. He wins the regular season in year 2. He has really done well, and I would give him all of it, the bonus, the years, max it out, refresh it to show that, hey, we are behind you 1,000% in the first couple of years of your contract here.
Now, Wheeler Brown, this will be interesting. This will be interesting, Coach Pettaway.
Oh, yeah.
He has done an excellent job. Let me put that on the table, straight up out front. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. He's probably a little early in terms of expectations, in terms of championships and winning on that level, that sort of thing. At the same time, Coach was hired because somebody, obviously Roman Banks, saw the potential in him to do so. From looking at his contract online, which is a very good contract, I might add. It's not bad at all. Salary's good, and the bonus section is pretty decent. The only problem I had with the contract was that I didn't think there was enough in there for his coaches, in terms of assistant coaches, in terms of bonuses. And so somehow that kind of rolls back on the head coach in terms of taking care of his assistants and making sure that they're happy, that he's keeping them in check, that sort of thing. Outside of that, I think his contract is good as it is right now. I would say that, with his bonus structure in place, he's going to get those escalators, those bonuses that are there. If he wins the tournament, I would extend him by a year, which gives him 3 years on his current contract right now. Okay. And I would also say that if he performs a hat trick or whatever, if next year is just as good or on par with this year, then I tear that contract up in its entirety, and we go back to the table and we start from scratch. And we look to improve on that contract. New salary, number of years, the whole 9 yards with that. What I want to guard against is what I call the one-hit wonder syndrome. Okay, and so what this does, it allows me to do that. At the same time, I'm letting them know that I'm taking care of you right now, so forth and so on. If we have a pretty decent year next year, it ain't saying you got to win it, but if we're in contention 3 years in a row, to me, that establishes a benchmark in terms of excellence moving forward. And I want to look to take care of him, from there. At the same time, and I know I'm taking up a lot of time, at the same time, I'm getting my short list together because I know that, if he does have another decent year come next year, somebody may be knocking on the door. They may have more than I'm able to give. I want to be prepared in case of any eventuality where, there's a better opportunity for him out there. There's no doubt he would have left the program in better shape than when he got it, and that's going to help me attract the next lightning in a bottle that may be out there. So, while it seems hard right now, Carlos, it ain't really as hard. I'm like Martin Luther King. I like to reward longevity. You know,
Mm.
longevity has its place. You
Yep.
know, and so I like to go more from that point of view.
Coach Pettaway, if you and Coach
Well,
Johnson a position, and what I must admit, Wheeler laid it out nice, not as hard. But how do you respond to that, Coach Pettaway, if you and Coach Johnson's situation?
well, I like what he has in place so far. You know, you already got the
Mhm.
bonus and then the escalators in the contract. The only thing I would be looking at is this: I would be looking for an extension. I would want a year or two added to my contract.
Mhm.
It wouldn't necessarily be me going in and say I want more money now. I would see security is better for your family.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the additional year.
Mm-hmm.
The money wouldn't be the big thing now because uh, I'm getting these bonuses. So I'm already
Mhm.
receiving extra money. Now, when it comes to the assistants, I think some schools treat it differently because I knew at A&M, you had to really fight and get it in your contract about what's going to happen with your assistants. If I got a bonus, they got a bonus for conference championships, tournament championships, and the playoffs. Those three things were already in my assistant's contract. They automatically got money for those achievements. Now, the coach has to fight for his assistant.
Mhm.
And I just think it depends on the university, how they're set up. I do know of some universities where it's across the board. No matter what sport it is, the assistants are automatically given bonuses because we had an AD to come to A&M and implemented that. But on all of my original contracts, I already had things in place for my assistants.
Hmm.
If I got a raise, I was looking for them to get a raise. They got the only bonus they don't get. They didn't get the coach of the year bonus.
Mhm.
They didn't get the academic bonus. Well, we didn't have the academic bonus too long because we had a president come in and say that was our job anyway.
And I
Uh,
agree with that. I agree with that
Oh,
100%.
hush,
I
hush,
agree with that
Wheeler.
part
man,
100%.
but
Hush,
Wheeler,
Wheeler.
I'm sorry,
we were
coach.
on the
I'm
only.
sorry, coach. I
Come on, Wheeler.
apologize.
Come on,
I
Wheeler. Come on.
apologize.
Yeah, Wheeler,
Your, your
that job,
job,
yeah.
your job, Coach Pettaway, is graduating those kids and making sure they go across those stage. That's
Yeah.
your job.
Okay,
You know, that's the
okay.
job
So,
of every coach. You know, so now, but you're also your job is to win. So
right.
I'll throw the escalators in for the championships, that sort of thing. No doubt about that. But when it comes to the academic side of things, I'm expecting coaches to do their jobs. This is what you promised mommy and daddy when you sat in their living room, ate their fried chicken, and talked them into letting their son or daughter come to your school. It's what you told them. I got them. I'm going to take care of them. Whatever it takes, I'm going to drag them across that stage. You
Now
know?
Wheeler, they set the bar real high. I only got credit if okay, Carlos, for me, if I graduated 80% of a recruiting class, I got a bonus. Now,
Mhm.
if I'm graduating 80%, that's higher than the university average.
Hmm. Oh,
Well, you know,
yeah.
for the most part, Coach Pettaway, 50% is higher than the university. I mean,
And
when you
that's
Hmm.
why
look
they
at
put
it.
it at 80. That's why they put it at 80. And I'm gonna be honest now. I was able to get that bonus a couple times now, a few times. But no, I'm serious. If you leave it to a recruiting class to say 80%, to me, that's not that bad. That's not that bad, especially Carlos. Now we're going back to what I used to say always. You build your program with high school kids. So
Mhm.
so now I got those kids in the system. They understand about study hall. They understand about the academic requirements that we were putting on them, and then you can get it. But then this president comes in and she says, no. We're not rewarding you for something you're supposed to be doing anyway. You're supposed to be graduating these kids. So they took that,
Mhm.
they took that out. All
Hmm.
right. Then when they came with the APR, we tried to slide that in. Okay. If we meet the APR, we feel like we should get a bonus.
Yeah.
Hey, you look, get your bonus wherever you can. All of that to say this, guys. I lean heavily on the bonus, and you know I always get his example, Coach Pettaway. You know one of the guys. Charles, you know where I'm going with.
Rob Spivery.
Rob Spivery.
Yeah.
And maybe it was just a luck of the draw. I don't know. Maybe it was something in the wind. The energy wasn't right. Man, he blew it out the water the first year. Winning the NCAA tournament, a respectable showing against Duke. And the administration was so excited, they rolled that contract over, gave him an extension. And the rest was history. Didn't do a doggone thing the next 3 years. then you're stuck in that long-term contract, maybe to Willer's point. So I lean toward bonuses. And then taking care of the assistant coaches. And if I could be facetious here, Wheeler, especially with all of those guarantees, those money games,
Mm-hmm.
could we take a percentage of that and put it in the bonus pool?
I would say yes. I would say yeah. I would say yes.
Yeah,
Well,
that's where the money came from.
some of us will be really rich because of all those guarantee games. But anyway, that's another story for another time.
But Coach Johnson's contract, and I saw it as well. I mean, if he brings in over a certain amount as far as those guarantee games, he gets a little chunk of that. If I'm not reading it correctly,
Not a bad contract. Not a bad contract at all.
no, it's excellent. It is excellent.
And as Coach Pettaway said in our group text messages, a lot of people would like to be in that position.
Yeah, with reachable bonuses. That's the thing. That's the thing. Granted, you might not get to the Final Four and all that sort of thing and stuff, but he's got those little small I call them nickel and dime bonuses here and there that will add up. That will add up to be really, really good. At the end of the day, so you can't beat that.
And then I think, Wheeler, isn't it true that for football, most football coaches have a bonus if they reach 7 wins in the season? Or I think it's 7 or 8 wins. If they get to that point, there's a bonus out there for them, right?
Yeah, some do. And it all depends on the program and that sort of thing. If you're a program that hasn't done well historically, it's an opportunity for you to quote unquote make the coach think that, well, if you give me 8 wins, I'm gonna give you this, that, and the other, that sort of thing. So you're dangling the carrot out there, that sort of thing. But if you're in a program where 8 is the norm, then I'm frowning on paying you for the norm. Get me above the norm. But you'll get part of the Celebration Bowl money. Part of the if you win the SWAC championship or the conference championship, that sort of thing. And like I said, you just want to make sure that the assistant coaches are taken care of. So from an AD's point of view, if it's not already written in stone, I'm trying to set aside some monies for, Coach Johnson's assistant coaches, because $1,000 is not going to get it. That's McDonald's money. And, you don't want to do that. And, but, I'm setting aside some dollars for his assistant coaches with the expectations that he's going to come in my office and say, look, Wheeler, I need to take care of these guys. They've done a bang-up job, $1,000 not going to get it, that sort of thing. And Coach Pettaway, I'm going to disagree on this other thing. I think assistant coaches should get part of your Coach of the Year bonus, even if you should put it out there, because you're good because they've been good.
That's true, but
I mean, if I
Wheeler, you normally don't see that though.
Do no more than take them to Applebee's or what have you, and give them the spread. Look, guys, no, we didn't get all this, that, and the other. But I'm gonna do this for you guys because I really appreciate you all and what you've done for me and helped me rise to the top, so forth and so on. I'm gonna spread the butter thick.
Right, well, Wheeler, I like that, but I promise you, I have not seen that now.
The coaches get lower the slices.
Right. Hey, but Wheeler, let me ask you this now. This is one of the things I used to have an issue with. If I win a championship, you as the AD, you get a bonus.
Not necessarily.
Hold up now. Most of the ones I've been around, they got a bonus off of my
well,
championship.
I can tell you, you've been in the minority.
Right.
You know,
and I'm
that.
going to tell you this now. I had a problem with that because a couple of them, well, I shouldn't say a couple. One of them didn't do enough to help me as a basketball coach. Now, why are you profiting off of my success?
He gets none, Coach Pettaway.
But I do know that most of the ADs, they got in their contracts on these graduation rates and the APR. The ADs now, don't they get a bonus for that?
Commissioner's Cup?
I may be in a minority on that one too, because I feel that that's the AD's job to graduate the kids. You know, so I mean, you know, the benchmarks are there. We're expecting X, Y, and Z. Now, if you go above and beyond, you know, the call of duty or what have you, you know, if the benchmark is 70% and you're at 95 or something like that, I might try to throw you a bone if I'm the president and, you know, keep that ball rolling the way that it is. But, you know, if you're just meeting the benchmark, the standard, what we expect is that our athletic director, our staff people, our coaches, their jobs is to ensure that our kids walk across that stage and get that degree. That's your job. You know, now at the same time, are you expecting to be fired if they don't at a pretty decent rate? You know, or can I come back and take some of that money back? Can I deduct money from your salary if the benchmark is 70% and you're at 60? You give me $10,000 back to put back into the program?
No.
I ain't gonna hear no resounding yes on that one.
So Will, so you're saying
I'm just flipping the script, Coach. That's all.
The ADs don't have bonus clauses.
They do.
ADs don't.
Some do, and some. And some of us are just glad to be working.
Well, but I'm serious now. The ones I know at A&M, most of them they have bonus clauses in their contracts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I would hope, Coach Pettaway, that they're spreading the wealth. You know, I would hope that AD will give that academic person, that academic coordinator, whomever that person is, a slice of that pie. You know, because, you know, a lot of times we're forgetting the little worker bees there, the ones who are actually on the ground
doing the work,
sweating and getting it done. You know, while we get our bonuses up top, I would hope that we would spread some of that around, you know, to the people who are actually, quote unquote, doing the work.
Boots on the ground.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I have a question.
I ain't as hard as everybody thinks.
well, I have a question. You know, I know Carlos likes the assistant coaches being taken care of. How hard is that to sell to your AD, to your administration, to try to elevate assistant coaches, you know, contracts, bonuses, whatever? How hard is that? Because we've had this conversation forever today, and we'll probably continue to. I think it's a little bit better, but how hard is it to increase the pool? Because I think all these schools have a pool for assistants at every sport. How hard is it to increase that?
Well, with my experience, it's been difficult because whatever they do for me, they had to do for the women. And that's what I was always told. Mm-hmm. Well, Coach, if I give you this, I got to do it for the women. Well, I said, well, tell the women to come on board, win, and they too can benefit from what we're trying to do. But I'm serious. During my career, it was hard because whatever they did for me, they had to do it for the ladies.
I think you gotta put it out there for the reason that Coach Pettaway just stated. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But if you do it in terms of a percentage-wise, in terms of what they're actually making, then they're not going to be dollar for dollar. You know, because a lot of times the men's coach might be making more than the women's coach. You know, the men's assistant might be making a little more than the women's assistant. But the onus is going to be on the coach, the head coach, to come in and fight and fight and fight some more, and you see the kind of job those guys and ladies are doing, that sort of thing. You want to try to take care of them, if at all possible,
Mhm.
So if I'm gonna say $5,000 for the men's assistant coaches, per coach. If we win a championship, then I can go ahead and say 5,000 for the women's coach. If he or she wins the championship, that sort of thing. I mean, I think that's only right, and fair.
Well,
So
and you know, as we look back, every institution is different. Every AD is different.
Yep.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
It slight advantage, I guess. Honestly, if your AD was a former basketball coach who knows the difficulties, and make no doubt about it, football is the breadwinner. It it's more expensive, but it also brings in the most money. Then you look at basketball and the guarantee games. But now let's specifically look at what Southern did. And I'm going off of memory here. Coach Funches, a couple years ago, right? He won the SWAC basketball tournament. Everybody remembers that shot to down Jackson State. And then they went on to the NCAA tournament. He was rewarded. He had a contract. He had bonuses in there, but he was rewarded with both, if I'm not mistaken, a bonus and an extension. And mind you, he had all those in place with his original contract. Now, with Coach Funches, if they won the regular season, let's look at it. In theory, if they go on and win the SWAC basketball tournament, will Coach Banks them do the same thing and give him both?
You mean go above and beyond?
Right, because then hypothetically, it'll be 2 SWAC tournament championships in the last, 3 years, Charles?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, I mean, if I'm reading the contract correctly, there's a bonus clause for the SWAC regular season.
Right.
And then there's another bonus clause for the tournament. So,
yes.
I mean, he's already taken care of.
I know, but in the same situation last time, same thing applied, but they still reworked it anyway. I mean, maybe that's Southern.
I would still, like I said, I would. He wins the SWAC tournament, I would extend him by a year. So now he has 3 years left on his current contract, as opposed to 2. Okay, and then he does well next year. Like I said, don't say he got to win it all by any stretch. But if he does well and he's still in the conversation and doing well, that sort of thing, we tear that contract up totally, and we start over from scratch. We go back to the negotiating table. So that means 9 times out of 10, his salary is going to increase. The bonus clauses are going to increase. The coaches' salaries are going to, the assistant coach's salary are going to increase. So we're just disregarding everything else that has been done, and we're rewarding him for what he has done and things moving forward. And I think with that right there, you've taken care of both sides of the coin.
Well, 2 out of 3. Southern I understand what you're saying. What you were in that chair. It looks like Southern does it a little differently.
Yeah, they do.
I'm just saying hypothetically.
There may be some ADs out there that disagree with what I'm saying right now. But I just think that having been a coach myself for a lot of years, that I would look upon that favorably, but at the same time, I'm looking at it from an AD's point of view. And I want to make sure that, not only can I get some longevity there, but if things aren't working right, I gotta have some kind of out. I gotta feel like, I'm not gonna put the university in jeopardy because I gotta pay a coach now that I've just fired for 3 or 4 more years. At the same time, trying to find a decent coach to come in and take this job, that sort of thing. I just don't want to throw the budget all to hell trying to feel good about what's going on right now.
The Spivery rule. The Spivery rule. The Spivery rule. That's what that is. Go ahead, Austin.
And if I could just throw in for just 1 second, is that if I was going to get that extension, the extension for me as a coach at this particular point, if I'm winning, is to protect my assistant coaches because they're going out doing the grinding. So I have to find a way within the extension to make sure that those guys or ladies are taken care of so that when we get ready to go back into that next season or that next negotiation period where we're meeting those benchmarks, then we can renegotiate and start talking a little bit more on everybody's plate at that particular point. But in that extension, my job is to think, how can I protect these guys and ladies who have helped us to get to this point?
The great moderator. I'm a moderate, Coach Pettaway. So with that being said, on both instances, a 1-year extension and bonuses that are met, and then something a little extra in the pot, a little sweet. On that note, yes, producer extraordinaire, we need to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the men's and women's basketball team and all the scenarios. All I'm going to say is this. The number 1 spots, that's settled.
That scenario is taken care of.
2 through 10 is where everything is just still up in the air.
Up in the air.
You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We shall return.
Morehouse College and Tuskegee University men's basketball teams were selected to compete in the 2025 NBA HBCU Classic presented by AT&T. The 4th annual NBA HBCU Classic will be played in the Bay Area as part of NBA All-Star 2025 and will once again celebrate the rich traditions, on-court athleticism, and commitment to excellence of the HBCU community. For tickets, visit nba.com/all-star.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Southern University women basketball over Bethune-Cookman last week, 62-54. It's always tough to go down to Daytona Beach, but the Lady Jaguars got it done. Then they took another trip, a part of that Florida trip, and they defeated, well, no, actually, they came home and 61-38 over Alabama State, and with Alabama A&M with a big game at Grambling that Ossie, you were part of the broadcast on SWAC Digital Network. Outstanding job, Brother Clark. Outstanding, you and Santorio. With that loss by Alabama A&M, Coach Pettaway, Southern became the regular season champion. So, Coach Funches, congratulations to you and the staff. And now, I guess, Coach Pettaway, it maybe takes off some of the glamour, because actually I thought it was going to be for the title today against Alabama and them women.
Yeah, that's what I wanted, and I thought it was going to be that way also. But when you look at it, Carlos, not only should you, but all of Jag Nation should be happy. When you look at it, your football team played for the SWAC championship.
Mm-hmm.
You got championships for both of them, the men and women in basketball. I don't see how you can get any higher than that. And the naysayers that didn't think Coach Johnson was the right fit, or they don't like the way he's doing things, the man has proven to you all that he knows what he's doing. And they should be happy, because I guarantee you there might be about 11 other schools in the SWAC that wish they were in that position right now. So now Jag Nation should be happy. I mean, that's everybody. Don't question what the man is doing. And see, I go back to this. Whenever I had people that you wanted to say something about my style or what I want to do, I would give them an invitation. Go get you a team and come on. Let's see. Come on and let's see. Yep. But I'm serious, man. Congratulations to Coach Johnson, Coach Funches, those players, your administration, because they did everything they needed to do, and to make sure that they're successful. I mean, to have a football team in the championship, to have your basketball, both men and women, I think that's outstanding, man.
Well said, Coach Pettaway. And I know you seek perfection, and that's always a goal, but that's really tough to do. That's really tough to do. And on the men's side, you look at it, 3 losses, not 3 points.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take that every time.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me. Now, the men's basketball team. Let's take a look at what they did. 70-69, Bethune-Cookman. I got a chance to watch that on the Cat Network. Disappointed. But look, Bethune-Cookman, they're playing well. And as I stated, you're going to get everybody's best shot when you basically was undefeated for so long in the conference. Even if 1 or 2 losses, you're going to get the best shot. In the first half, the Jaguars shot 46%. Behind the arc, they were 30%. And free throws, 13 of 16. 81.3%. Wouldn't we take that? Because that has been one of the flaws of this basketball team, shooting free throws. And how ironic. They lose by 1 point. Then they get up to a great start at FAMU. 73-70 is the final score. They come back. They were up by 10 at half. You knew FAMU was going to make a run. Let me say this. FAMU is a much improved team than the one I saw in person, losing 91-57. Because Perry, he's got that program going in the right direction, and Coach Gardner at FAMU. Now, FAMU alums may be tough like Southerns, like, oh, well, we want to see championships. And then Thursday night. Good God Almighty! I guess can I get fined by the conference for saying this? That was a. Let me say this. Most people was like that wasn't a foul. I sent you guys the footage. Did you think that was a foul?
From
that angle, no.
I didn't.
Coach Pettaway said from his
The
angle.
the angle that I saw, I say no. But that, but you know, maybe if they reviewed it, then maybe they had another angle that showed the contact. But I didn't see it on the piece that I saw.
It was the phantom call.
Right.
And then some of my colleagues said, "Well, strange things happen in Baton Rouge. You could never get the call." That theory is debunked. Stevie Wonder texted me and said that wasn't a foul. But guess what? Southern missed a lot of free throws, and that is the reason too. That's a main reason. Excuse me, that they didn't. They didn't get it. Southern is now questioning referee call.
It just
No,
even
I don't.
things up. It just even things up for another time and another place, Carlos.
Well, let me say this.
Somewhere in the past, maybe not so recent, that the opposite has transpired.
That is true.
Southern came out on the top end. Okay, it's just
Oh,
coming
it's not that.
back.
It's not that easy, Will. I've seen plenty of bad calls, and no, Coach Johnson didn't address that, which he shouldn't. That's for us to question. But that's not the reason they lost. Okay, I'm getting choked up. Missing those free throws. That's the main reason.
Yeah, as a coach, we talk about the other plays in the game. It should never come down to that last play. It's the plays before that. It's the plays in the first half. Did we get the 50-50 balls? In your case, you're talking about free throws. Have we hit a couple more free throws, we'd have won the game. Have we not had this turnover, that turnover? Yeah, you should never put it down to the last. It should never come down to that last play.
Right.
And
Alabama State.
That's the way. Yeah, go ahead.
Alabama State, 10 of 14, 71%. Southern missed 11 free throws. That is the game. Now, two things can be true at once. It was a bad call, as Mama Jaguar would say, God rest her soul. That was a bad call, but it shouldn't have come down to that. And I talked to some people that said that was probably Southern's worst ball game of the year. Behind the arc, they were 3 of 20, which they relied on some of those 3-point shots. So, hey, it's over with. Again,
but that's primarily there's 3 categories that you have to win in every basketball game, or at least 2 out of the 3. You have to win at least the free throw battle and the rebounding battle. And then you got to make sure that at some point you're not turning it over. So 2 out of those 3, you've got to win that battle. And so if Southern lost it at the free throw line, that means that they lost at least one of those battles that they were supposed to win. And so you're not going to win big basketball games, especially right now in the tournament, missing free throw shots. And that's something that is an addressable issue, but they can't allow that to be the Achilles heel, because one loss in the tournament and everything that you work for all year long, it's all gone.
Win or go home. And Southern out rebounded Alabama State 37-29. So if we look back to last year, one of the things we said, and Coach Johnson came on the show and admitted it, Coach Pettaway, didn't finish games, free throws, and rebounded. They improved 2 out of those 3. And thus, if they win today, they'll Charles finish 1 game ahead of Jackson State. And if they're tied, then Southern University gets the number 1 seed based on defeating Jackson State at home.
Yeah.
So Go ahead, Charles.
I was just going to say, I mean, congratulations to Coach Johnson and the Jaguars. I mean, they were the best team all year. And they're doing it in a way. I mean, we talk about offensive basketball. Southern's top scorer is top 13 in terms of scoring in the conference. You're talking about Bradley Doctor of UAPB. They might not make the tournament. They won't make the tournament if they don't beat Alcorn today. You talk about some of the other top scorers, FAMU and others, Matthews and others. But Southern does it the old-fashioned way. They do it with two things to me: depth and defense. Defensively, they're really good, and their depth, different lineups, different matchups, 5 in. Not a lot of teams can do that. So, I mean, Southern got off to a great start. I think Alcorn pushed them, but I think the losses that they had, as you mentioned, were not bad losses. And I do think, Carlos, they wrapped up the regular season by beating FAMU in a come-from-behind way in Tallahassee. They might have took their foot off the gas a little bit at home. And, yeah, I mean, you already wrapped up the regular season. It's hard, when you're in that position trying to get another game out of that. But Alabama State's beaten them twice. And again, that may be something to look at if they get into that second round, because Alabama State's in the middle of that bracket. They might see them again. And could that be a tough matchup with Southern University if they see Alabama State again? Because Alabama State's playing really well right now. Alabama State, Bethune-Cookman, Jackson, those 3 teams right now are really getting a lot of attention. We're not talking about them a lot, but they have my attention. They're playing well right now. But the Jaguars were the best team all year long, no doubt about it. They got pushed a little bit, but Texas Southern lost 3 in a row. Jackson stumbled a little bit, but Southern got off the mat, and they finished the year strong in conference, with the exception of the other night.
All right, now I'm going to do something that I normally don't, because I think Willie Bolden, loving to death, he's looking for attention on today's show. Have you seen that? Mr. Bolden has been tough on the Jaguars, Coach Pettaway. They don't have a big man. They don't hit free throws. He said role players will not win the tournament. This team is number 1 in the nation with bench scoring. Okay. And again, love you to death, Mr. Bolden. Love you to death. Would you trade?
What's his background? What's Mr. Bolden? What's Mr. Bolden's background? Is he a basketball coach?
Well, I don't know. Maybe he'll.
I'm not trying to be funny. I was just trying to figure out where he's coming up with this logic that they can't win with role players, because every team that's won a championship, they won because of role players.
That's true.
Every team that's ever won a championship,
that's true,
has won because of role players. Now
that's true.
That's true. And if a coach is not calling a timeout when you think he should, if a coach is not playing who you think he should be playing, and that guy is winning, this guy's won a championship. Yeah, now as an engineer, you supposed to be critical thinking, Mr. Bolden. You're supposed to be able to do critical thinking, and as an engineer, you should be able to rely on people who have the expertise in this area. Rely on your basketball people who know a little bit about basketball. Engineering, that's great. That's a great profession, but it does not coincide with.
He's a smart guy. He's a smart guy.
Obviously, a smart guy.
See, hey, Willie, you might be too smart for your own good. No. On a serious note, you need this. You need this kind of dialogue. But Will, I promise you will not find a championship team that did not win. I mean, that won a championship that didn't have role players. You got to have them.
Now,
you must have them. That's part of the equation to win a championship.
Now, Coach Pettaway, I had got another text message that I had shared with you about what is Coach Johnson's offensive philosophy, inbounding the ball. In my opinion, I know coaches go over this in practice. I work in education, and I know what the teachers do on the elementary level. They can prepare. They give you everything, all the tools that you need. And then for some reason, sometimes a couple of students may come out and just bomb the test. So I'm saying this, Coach Pettaway. I know that Coach Johnson is teaching that, and all coaches, the fundamentals, but sometimes they don't get it. You know, they don't inbound,
Right, okay.
inbound the ball. Go ahead, Coach Pettaway.
Okay, now they're talking about the inbounds plays, right? Out of bounds, under the basket, or on the sideline. You go over that kind of stuff. It's called situational basketball. You can teach it. You can go over it. But all it takes is for one person not to do their job.
Mm-hmm.
All it takes is for one person not to do their job, and what you just taught those kids in practice has gone out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is I could tell you from experience now, from being on that sideline, calling a timeout, going over a specific play or instructions. And when those kids walk back on that floor, you can and will have players that forgot what you just showed or taught them. It has happened to me too many times.
Retention.
It happens. And we as coaches, we have brain cramps.
Mm-hmm.
Players have brain cramps. You can have stuff that you teach and go over, and they can
In
still
the heat of the battle,
the pressure of the game.
Anything can happen in the heat of the battle. You know,
and then we as coaches have to take the blame.
You can't replicate certain things in practice.
Right.
Like free throws.
When you're out there and the lights are on, you know, and the team has just came back from 20 down or what have you, you know, you holding on for dear life. You know, I mean, strange things are liable to happen. There's no doubt about that. So, I mean, it is what it is on that. I can tell you my philosophy of doing this and doing that. You know, I can't tell you how these kids are going to react when those glaring lights are there. And,
right.
You know, the pressure cooker is really on high, that sort of thing. And like Coach Pettaway say, all it takes is one kid. You know, 4 can be cool as ice, and that 5th kid can be a bundle of nerves. And it don't matter what the other 4 do. You know, that 5th kid is going to throw it out of whack, that sort of thing. So, I mean, tell the person, Carlos, to come to practice. Tell them to come see how the team prepares, that sort of thing. And then hopefully that gives them a better perspective, you know, come game time. But I don't do a lot of speaking to people who don't come to practice and come and see how these kids are working, come and see how we're putting these things in, how we're addressing these situations, that sort of thing. Ain't a whole lot you can tell me. You know, I mean, I'm going to respect your opinion and give you your 5 minutes or what have you. No doubt about that. I'm going to respect that, you know, as a coach, you know, but at the same time, you're not going to be the one to judge me because I know what we're going through in practice every day. I know how hard these kids are working every day. I know how hard I'm working these kids every day. So, you know, I also know this is an inexact science and everything is not going to go as planned all the time.
And in spite of those shortcomings, if you call
we
them
won
that,
the championship.
I wouldn't trade it 1-1. Now,
I want to say kiss my grits, but I don't know if you can do that live. So,
it's a family show here, Will. But you know,
Will and have done it,
and if you don't win the tournament, you'll hear these same voices come. But guess what? If they don't, I can only speak for myself. I am happy with where the basketball programs are. Carlos, is it concerned that March Southern has struggled in all games that they have played so far? No. They're in first place.
Right.
They won the regular season. Yeah. Now, is there pressure going to the tournament?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think these are good, Carlos, to be honest. I mean, you talked about the losses by 1 point. These are good. You never want to lose.
3 points.
3 points.
3 losses.
You've been tested. You've been battled. And I think for the most part, Southern University, the second half of the season, they've been battle tested, and they, for the most part, have come out on top. Now, 2 losses to Alabama State, tough, obviously tough to win in Montgomery, and obviously, the Bethune-Cookman. But Bethune's playing really well. Bama State, quiet as it kept, is really playing well. So I mean, they're not bad loss. They're bad losses, but you learn from them, and you got to clean it up as you get ready for the SWAC tournament, because we've talked about this in the chat. In the years past, Southern would be going to the NIT, but doesn't look like that's going to be the case the way the NIT has restructured things now. And that's, I don't know about the CBI and these other tournaments that are out there. Southern's going to get a bid to that, but I would love to see the NIT. If they don't win it, if they do, they do. It'll be great. But Southern has had a terrific season, some solid wins in non-conference, but they got to do it all over again in Atlanta starting next week.
And if I'm Coach Johnson, I'm keeping the foot on the neck. I'm keeping the foot on the gas. There's no doubt about that. We're not letting up in any way, shape, form, or fashion. The practices are still going to be tough. They're still going to be hard. We can rest when the season's over with. That's what I'm relaying to the kids. That's the attitude that I'm pushing at them all the time. So they're not going to see me laid back and relaxed like it's all over, because they're going to lay back and relax like it's all over. So if I'm wound up, I'm going to keep them wound up all the time. And we just going to continue to go at it.
And may I add this real quick? Some people, whether we like to admit it or not, some people are just loving critics. They have nothing else better to do with their time than to find a way to criticize what somebody else is doing or what a coach is or isn't doing. Nobody thinks about how many hours the coach spends putting a practice plan together, how many hours they spend trying to come up with a game plan for the game, how many opportunities they have to sit down and have conversations with the young men and young ladies that are a part of their program to help them reach that mark of graduation or just be a better human being as it relates to life itself. So when you talk about what coaches are doing, when you're 14-3 or 15-2, who cares what you think? I'm winning. And at this particular point, I'm going to do it exactly what I've been doing all year long, which is coaching my team. What you have to do and what you have to say has no bearing on what we do on this floor. As long as I'm doing my job, stay out of my lane, you stay in yours, and everything will take care of itself.
Thank you, Ozzy. But look, Ozzy, you left out one part. Get you a team and bring your butt on. That's what you got to tell them. Get you a team and bring your butt on. Let's go.
Good job, Ozzy's exactly right. We're dealing with that right here at Alcorn State University. 2 regular season titles, a number 2 seed the last 3 years, and look at where we are this year. Maybe a 6, probably a 7, and yet people are critical. But the last 3 years have been wonderful. This year, not so much, and people are wondering what in the heck is going on.
But Charles, they need to stay with them. They need to stay with them. We all have those up times and those down times, that sort of thing. The mark of a true fan, of a true alum, is the ability to stay with your school when times get hard. You go ahead and, you can be critical or what have you, the whole 9 yards with that. All that's well and good, but, the mark of a true guy, you really, really in my school's corner, let me see where you are when things are bad.
And in today's climate, guys, with the transfer portal, rosters are being flipped every year. Landon Bussey says we living in the transfer portal. It is hard to have a 3-year run now. Where you're flipping your rosters and players are transferring and you want them gone. And so for us to do what we've done in the last 3 years, and even for Coach Johnson, what he's done in the first 2 years, new coming in, I think it says a lot. I mean, I think it speaks very highly of him considering what he walked into, a solid program anyway, but to elevate it, I was concerned whether he would elevate it this soon, but he's exceeded my expectations. So now it's just a matter of continuing to put your foot on the gas and continue to play well, be sharp, try to avoid injury in this last game as you get ready for the tournament.
And look.
And now, Carlos, I want to say this because I'm gonna have to get out of here.
Yes,
and
sir.
Another thing that we have to be careful about with social media and stuff, you can hurt your recruiting when you keep constantly putting stuff out there. You have to be careful with that. Now you can hurt. If I'm a recruit and I see that, hey, I'm thinking about your program, but the fans are always on. You all are winning, and the fans are not happy.
Mhm.
I look at that as a recruit, and you have to be careful with how you do stuff on social media because it could affect recruiting. This man has done an outstanding job since he's been there. Coach Funches has done an outstanding job. Man, the Jaguar Nation needs to be happy and celebrate. That's what they should do right now.
Well, you know, and Coach Pettaway, we appreciate those comments. I would say the majority of the Jaguar Nation, they are happy. I know I can speak for myself. I'm damn happy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because there are, you know, we always talk about expectations. Yeah. And I always kid Wheeler with that. Not everybody could be the AD at Southern University or coach, because there is some pressure, whether right or wrong, but I think it's like that everywhere. But it's just an extra dose of that here in Baton Rouge, Coach Pettaway, and I wouldn't trade it at all. Wait a minute, Jeffrey. Coach Pettaway must be for Southern University.
No, I'm for everybody. I'm for everybody. I'm a coach. I'm for coaches.
Yeah.
I'm for coaches. I'm a proponent for the coaches. I'm for coaches. Because we are our family.
Yes, sir. And I told you, Coach, when I talked to Coach Johnson, he said, tell Coach Pettaway, I took the advice. I developed a deep team. I mean, Southern doesn't have an 18, 16 average point score. You know, but what they have is depth, defense. And when I looked at his bio when Southern hired him, I was impressed with his bio. He's been at bigger programs. He's recruited in the state of Louisiana. You know, he goes to the transfer portal. He also goes the high school ranks. But, you know, I just think this is the situation now. The climate has always been to win. But 3 or 4 years ago, it changed. The sports culture, even in this conference, is now win or else. And as I stated before, even 20, 25, 30 years ago, you had winning programs in the SWAC. Not just 5 or 6 years ago or 4 years ago, when albeit the Savior came into the conference and everybody just went nuts. It went that way, so it has to be that way for everybody. No, we have a legacy of putting together good student athletes and teams. I still believe in the old-fashioned way. But I also believe you got to navigate and change. So you have to have both.
Right. And
that's just my opinion.
Right. And then, Carlos, when you start talking about jobs in the SWAC and the job that these coaches have done, look at what Coach Skeet has done up at Texas Southern. Phenomenal year.
Outstanding job.
Look at what Thornton has done at Alabama A&M. Okay, go down to Jackson State. Look at what Coach Richards has done. You know, you got people, you got coaches all over this league on both sides. Okay, look at what FAMU has done. All the pressure this guy was under and the job he's done. Look at what Mo Williams has done at Jackson State. You know, you got coaches in this league who know what to do. All the fans have to do is give them an opportunity, give them time. You know, everybody's not going to be able to turn it around in 1 year. All right, give these coaches time. There are great coaches in this SWAC. I see it on the women's side. I see it on the men's side. All the fans and the alumni have to do is support your institution and your coaches. Give them an opportunity.
And on that note, Coach Pettaway, Austin, Wheeler, and Charles, let it be written that the 2-year contract that I was falsely accused of shall be no more. Because if you look at Coach Funches, Coach Johnson, Coach Graves, you don't see any 2-year contracts when they sign. So Let's get
We
rid
can't
of
let
that.
it go like that, Carlos.
I knew you was gonna say that. You was gonna say that. Well, Coach Pettaway, quickly, the tournament. We talked about the teams that have the pressure. I don't know if we can wait till next week to predict who's gonna. We'll put it this way: who to look out for the tournament that can win it on the women and the men's side.
Well, for the women, to me, you go in with your number one seed. Then you look at your dark horses. On the men's side, Jackson State and Bethune-Cookman are dark horses. You better look out for them, okay? All right. On the women's side, even though my Bulldogs are stumbling down the stretch, you got to look out. To me, you got to look out for Jackson State and Alabama A&M. Now, Texas Southern, they can only be looked at if they get their, I think it's their point guard that got hurt.
Yeah.
Charles.
Yeah.
See, a lot of people don't know why they're struggling. They're struggling because that point guard has been in concussion protocol and has not played. So they have lost down the stretch because they have missed a very important piece. Now, if that young lady is healthy and ready to go for the tournament, you got to look out for TSU.
And Charles? Oh, thank you there, Slat. Good question. I've been waiting for that one. I go to the consultants, the analysts. I can only just offer my opinion. Charles, I do want to ask you this. I said last week, Texas Southern is Alcorn's boogeyman on the men's side.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, we can also point fingers, Alabama State to Southern University.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? But Charles, you sounded, that's the key word.
What happened? Is he froze?
Well, yeah, I think he froze up. I think he was talking. I think he was referencing Alcorn and
Texas Southern.
Yeah, Texas Southern. Yeah. We are a tough, bad matchup when it comes to Texas Southern matching up with us. They've got shooting. They whipped us inside, and the other part of it too, Carlos, is that over the last few games we just haven't shown up to start games. Jackson State, Florida A&M, we led by 4 early against Texas Southern the first 2 minutes. We got to come out with a sense of urgency. We're not the greatest scoring team in the world. So what we have to do is, what is Landon Bussey's calling card? Defense. And so our offense is predicated on our defense. And that's all predicated by fast starts, which we've won games in which that has happened. And it just has not happened. So for us, we just have to get as healthy as we can. We were without one of our point guards the other night against Valley, ankle injury. Jalik Gaines White, he'll play today. And right now, as far as us in seeding is concerned, right now, if the tournament started at this moment, we'd be playing Tuesday night in the late game. But we still have an opportunity. If we don't win tonight, we will be playing Tuesday night. But if we win, some other things have to happen. We don't have the tiebreaker on Florida A&M, but we do have the tiebreaker on Alabama State. We don't have the tiebreaker on Texas Southern. So at least a 7 or a 6 is a possibility for us. But, for us, we just have to play better. I thought we played okay against Mississippi Valley, but we have to play better. And I think the sense of urgency, Coach Pettaway, what you were talking about, last night in practice, before the team goes to practice, they look at film and they go over stuff before they get on the bus to go to practice. They get off the bus, they go to practice, and they go over the stuff that they just saw on film 45 minutes ago. And one guy just completely forgot about what he saw on film 45 minutes ago. And Coach was livid. He said, "We just showed you this on film 30 minutes ago. You mean you forgot already?" So
retention.
Those are things that get under coach's skin, and it really just infuriates Landon Bussey for sure, because they just showed it to him. But for us, Texas Southern's a problem for us. And then obviously Mississippi Valley is a problem for us on the women's side. We lost twice to Valley. And I don't know what Lady Braves team is going to show us, just being honest with you. It is a confusing conundrum, to say the least. We beat the top teams, the Jacksons, the Texas Southerns of the world, Southerns. But then the bottom feeder teams, we don't get it done. And, we're going to be playing the 3 seed. We could be playing Jackson, could be playing Alabama A&M, could be playing Texas Southern. We've had those teams. We haven't played A&M in a couple of months, so that'll be an interesting matchup because we're going to be a 6 no matter what happens today. There are 3 seeds on the women's side that I think are locked up. Southern 1, Lady Braves 6, and Grambling 5. No matter what happens, those seeds will be there no matter what happens today. And I think it's on the women's side, as Nate Kilber said weeks ago, it's going to be wide open. Southern University is going to be the hunted, but any team that gets in there, Valley, if they get in there, could be a problem. And so because they're a pretty good 3-point shooting team, and their posts are pretty good. So on this women's side, I think it's going to be wide open. Southern University better be ready to go because I think a lot of teams are going to be nipping at their heels.
And I heard Coach Kilber said, well, we match up well against Southern University. What confidence?
Yeah.
What confidence?
Yeah.
But then you go lose to Mississippi. And I'll say it live, what I said to you in person. They are consistently inconsistent.
Absolutely.
Talking about Alcorn State women.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just you don't know. I mean, it's not just game to game, guys, with us. It's day to day. We beat Jackson State and Jackson a couple of weeks ago.
I'm laughing at that comment by EA.
I mean, the Friday practice before we played Jackson and Jackson was not very good. And somebody looked at me, and I was at practice and said, is this the same team that think they can show up against Jackson and win? But as it turns out, the second half, we played lights out. So, I mean, it's not just game to game with the Lady Braves. It's day to day. Today's practice might be great. Tomorrow's might be awful. But as Kilbert has said, if they get it, if they listen and they get it on game day, that's all that matters. But it's just I don't know what teams are going to show up today against UAPB. We got some illness. We got some flu going around. Coach Kilbert was sick. Another player was sick. So we got that going on that might impact us today. So, again, it's day to day. We'll see what happens today at 3:00.
On that note, 12:15, scheduled for another timeout. Coach Pettaway, be blessed. We'll talk with you next Saturday.
All right.
On that note, we'll take a timeout. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We shall return.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and Instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Human Voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Pat Riley, Texas again. Pat Riley said that should have been a no call in that Alabama State and Southern game. I'll call you back, Pat. Oh, boy. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, notification, till when this show is getting ready to go live. You'll get the notification. Charles, I'm looking at the standings of the women's basketball in the Southwest Athletic Conference. Southern's the hottest team going in to this regular season finale. They're on an 8-game winning streak, 17-13 overall, 15-2 in the conference. Then here's the log jam. Alabama A&M 13-4, Jackson State 13-4. Texas Southern 13-4. Then Grambling State comes in at 11-6, but on a 3-game winning streak.
Mm-hmm.
So Willa Grambling State now is trying to catch some energy at the end of the season. Alcorn State 9-8, Prairie View 6-11, FAMU 6-11, and of course, 2 teams that looks to be out so far. Charles, Alabama State and Arkansas Pine Bluff. Pine Bluff 1-60 in the conference. Alabama State 4-13, but a game behind Mississippi Valley State. So that's how it looks on the women's side. So number 1 is settled, but 2, 3, and 4 are 3 teams tied at second.
Well, actually, there are 3 spots that are settled. The Lady Braves will be a 6 seed no matter what at 9-8.
Right.
They're not going to catch Grambling no matter what. Grambling has a tiebreaker anyway, so we're 9-8. Grambling's 11-6. They're not going to move up. So the 1 seed, the 6 seed, and the 5 seeds are already set. Now 2, 3, 4, that's a log jam, and we'll have to see how that all plays out. Jackson State's got Valley. Texas Southern's got Prairie View. And obviously Alabama A&M has Southern. So you can put those teams in the bag, shake it up, and see where that lands. And, of course, Mississippi Valley will be in the tournament. I think they'll be a tough out. So I think it's going to be interesting, on the women's side. And I want to congratulate, just like Coach Johnson, Coach Funches. The Lady Braves beat them 59-55 in overtime, but then Southern got off the mat, and they were able to do a nice job in bouncing back. So it's not, you're going to get knocked down. The question is, are you going to get back up? And Southern did that. And remember now, Texas Southern raced out to 9-0, 10-0, whatever they were in conference to start. Mm-hmm. And to have Southern University rally all the way back, lose to Alcorn at home. Texas Southern went on a little bit of a funk there, and Southern took advantage of that. So you have to congratulate, Coach Funches and the job that he's done, and he's getting everything he deserves, taking over for Sandy Pugh, the job that she did when she was at Southern, and then Coach Funches, her number one assistant, just took the mantle and just kept running with it. So, congratulations to Coach Funches. He deserves it all.
And, some of these schools are going to have to make some real choices at the end of the season, Carlos, in terms of moving forward from a coaching point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Especially those schools that are putting a lot of money in their programs and just not getting the results, either now or historically. They're going to have to take a long look at these programs and see, whether or not I'm going to need to make some changes or what have you, exactly what is going on in our programs. Because obviously, if we're giving you the financial wherewithal to get it done, and it's not getting done, somebody's going to have to shoulder some of that blame or what have you at some point in time. We got to discuss whether or not we need to make a change on this thing.
Well, I can, based on what you just said, I can look at one spot in Texas. We all know they have great facilities, right? Right?
Yes.
Coach Pugh, outstanding job at Southern University, but for some reason at Prairie View hadn't got it done. Then even on the men's side, a few years ago, tough, very good defense, Coach Smith, and now they've kind of gone down. So Wheeler, as the director of athletics, and if you disagree with this point, let me know. I mean, great facilities, great resources. I'm using the word great. Maybe I should say good. And not hitting the benchmarks. What do you do?
We got to have the discussion, Carlos. I mean, I got to look at what year are you in, at this particular school. With Coach Pugh, I think what's this, her second year in the program?
Oh no, Coach Pugh, she's been there longer than that.
Oh, okay.
But
that's just one of the things that we're going to have to take a look at. Have I given you the ample ammunition in order to get the job done? I mean, I got to look at myself as an athletic director also. So I mean, I may be partly to blame for what's going on, but we both have to sit down, coach and AD, in terms of how we're going to turn this thing around, set positive benchmarks for the following year if we're going to move forward with the same coach. And if not, I mean, after the conversation, I may feel that this ain't gonna get done, and no need in beating a dead horse. We might well go ahead and part as friends, and let me try to find the next lightning in a bottle if I can, and go from there. So everybody's gonna have to make those decisions, but the coaches gonna have to be honest with themselves, in terms of exactly what it is that it's just not happening. So just got to find a way.
And if I may, real quick, talking about Prairie View at this particular point, Prairie View has already made a decision that they're ready to move forward in whatever direction it would take for their programs to get better. Just look at football. Football's already made that decision, and Coach McDowell wasn't doing necessarily a bad job at Prairie View. So at this particular point, where you are, is that where you want to stay, or do you want to look to see what can happen for the future? And right now, Prairie View's in a delicate situation with both of the basketball coaches.
Well, you have a situation, Carlos, where you have a fairly new AD and a new president. And you talk about an unfortunate combination where you have a new athletic director and a new president. You couple that with a coach in your major sports that's not winning, that's getting the attention, like football, like men's and women's basketball. You probably know what's going to happen. And I didn't know what Coach Pugh's situation was, or Coach Smith. Prairie View men's basketball, and I'll say this in my opinion, since Landon Bussey left as the lead assistant, Prairie View had been the same. And so they've tried to find another Landon Bussey, hadn't been able to find it. They've struggled. The first couple of years they were good, but the last few years they have not been good. And so they have to make a tough decision. And then we talk about coaching overall. We've seen coaches kind of wallow in places in our league. Who's to say that they're only there because the school can't afford to buy them out? Just let the contract run out. I think there's probably more cases than that than we think. How can you see buyouts in this conference? I think, we had one. Didn't we have one with Coach Fobbs? He was let go 1 year left. They obviously bought him out. I have opinion on that. I think they should have let it play it out his last year, but that's a whole nother discussion. But when you have, schools that are buying out contracts, that tells you a lot instead of letting it ride out. So I think for Prairie View, they got to make some decisions. They already have on football. Coach Pugh, Coach Smith, we'll see. I mean, I like them both. I think Coach Smith's done a nice job. Coach Pugh, he's just trying to get it going, and it's just been tough sledding for both.
Guess that's when the Carlos Brown contract comes in handy.
Oh no! Well, the bottom line is: do you think are you happy with where you're at? The basketball programs, football, they were not. They made the change.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to be the question, as you guys on the panel said, for Prairie View and to get it done. What were the benchmarks? Did they achieve that? And again, it's just so perplexing that Coach Pugh did much better at Southern University than Prairie View. That is very perplexing. And when she left, I thought, hey, she's going to continue that run at Prairie View, but that was not the case. So
I was surprised she left Southern, Carlos, to be honest with you. I thought she would ride off into the sunset in Baton Rouge. When I heard that she was going to Prairie View, I was shocked.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, it's a long story behind the scenes.
I'm sure.
I don't have enough time to discuss it. But I think feelings were hurt. Go ahead, Austin.
I was going to say, if you think about it, Coach Pugh had Coach Funches, who was behind her, who really did a lot of the coaching and recruiting and those types of things for Southern University. That was her number one assistant coach. She goes on to greener pastures, or what was supposed to be greener pastures for herself, and Coach Funches is still doing the job that's getting the job done at Southern University. So to Charles' point, your point, when you have a good assistant coach, sometimes it makes other coaches, especially the head coaches, look good. And since she's left, Coach Funches hadn't been the same.
Yeah, and Mr. B.
Valid points, Austin. Valid points. Now, I'm going to look at on the men's side of the standings. Southern, 14-3 on a one-game losing streak. Jackson State, pretty hot, Wheeler. They've won 5 in a row, and now they're only a game behind Southern University. Bethune-Cookman on a 4-game winning streak, 12-5. Then Alabama State, 11-6 in conference. Texas Southern 11-6. FAMU 10-7. Alcorn 10-7. Grambling State 7-10. Alabama A&M 6-11. Prairie View 4-13 in conference. Pine Bluff and Valley bring up the rear, 3-14 for Pine Bluff in conference. Mississippi Valley State 1-16. If I'm not mistaken, Charles, on the women, the preseason prognosticators, they're so great. and the journalists don't really have a say-so in there. If I'm not mistaken, who was it on the women's side that was picked to win it?
Was it Jackson State?
I think it was Grambling, wasn't it?
It's Grambling.
Grambling. Okay, Grambling. Yeah.
And on the men's side, Grambling.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah.
Well, we see how that. And my point is, those preseason predictions, they're just that.
Yeah.
For interest. Of course, they're not going to win the regular season. And to me, you know how I feel. The regular season is special. Mm-hmm. It means from point A to point Z, and all points in between, those two teams were the most consistent. Did they have some hiccups? Yes. Mm-hmm. Did they have to fight some adversity?
Yeah.
Yes. Dr. Carey, I'm not counting Grambling women out. No. Yeah. Once a tournament start, those 10 teams, I don't count anybody out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just to show you can compare and contrast regular season, preseason predictions. How close were those predictions?
Yeah. I mean, Grambling, obviously, I watched them just the one time when we beat them. They're not the same team. I don't think they have the same offensive punch that they've had in the past. They've had some injuries and some struggles. But, Coach Jackson, he's done an outstanding job there. There's nothing going on there. It's just a tough year, just like a tough year for Alcorn as well. But, once you get to the tournament, we've seen an 8 seed Texas Southern sneak in the tournament and win the tournament. Like Chatterbox said a few weeks ago, they made a mistake and let them in. And then and when that happened, I said, uh-oh, here we go. Because I felt if Texas Southern got in, they were going to find a way to win that thing. Even though we were playing well at the time, I thought Texas Southern sneaking in through the back door, we was going to find a way. And so I think on the men's side, clearly there's some work to be done. Even at the bottom of the bracket, Carlos, here today at Pine Bluff. Mm-hmm. If Pine Bluff wins today and Prairie View loses to Texas Southern, Pine Bluff is in the tournament. And we would play Pine Bluff again Tuesday night. And that's one matchup I don't want to see, either between Prairie View and UAPB at the 7, if we finish 7. I don't want to see UAPB. That's just a matchup. They're really good from beyond the arc. They're big and long on the perimeter. I think that's going to be a tough matchup for us. I'd rather see Prairie View, but of course Prairie View's got to beat Texas Southern, which I don't exactly see happening. But if we see UAPB, that's going to be a tough matchup for us, even though everybody is 0-0 in the tournament. You've seen upsets in the past.
And it's going to be interesting. And of course, Coach Pettaway had to leave, but I wonder if styles of play will change because it's a tournament. I know a lot of teams, believe in putting up a lot of threes, and only think about that. When you're hitting them, they're fine, Aussie. But then when you're not, and those teams that rely exclusively on three-pointers, which team will be able to win the hustle points, will improve, if necessary, on the rebounding, free throw shooting, all of those things. And, a team could get hot. But you got it, 3-4 days? Mm-hmm. If you can get hot. So I think the pressure is more so on the regular season champs, although they're going to be rewarded, right, Charles? At least the first seeds, they'll get a bye. Yeah. So it's just going to be interesting. But that three-point shooting, it comes and goes, man. Yeah. I want to see which team it can what their identity is. Can they continue to do that? And if not, can they make adjustments? I believe in inside out.
And 2 points of contention when you talk about it at this particular point of the season is, and my first point, I guess, would be this. If I'm going to win the tournament, what is it going to take for me to win? Because every game at this point is going to be different. You've seen each other at least twice. This is possibly the third time. And it's hard to beat a team that you have seen at least 3 times this year. They know what you do. You know what they do. And now it's about executing what you do well. But when it comes down to the three-point shots at this point, that's more about a rhythm than it is anything else. Are you in a rhythm to be able to hit those shots in a game? I'm an inside-out guy as well. I believe that you should have somebody that can play back to the basket and that can score the bunnies, that can demand the double team, that you can kick out to the three. But right now, you're seeing more teams lean heavily on the three-point shot. Grambling, girls, as a matter of fact, struggled immensely this year shooting the three ball. And it's just lately that they've been able to shoot them a little bit better, but they're taking less. They're going inside, using Lydia Freeman a little bit more to be productive, and that's opening up lanes for driving and different things. So 2 points of contention. One, it's hard to beat a team that you've seen 3 times, or would be a third time possibly this season. And then number 2, you got to figure out what is the game plan for this particular game. If that shot's not working, you got to have a plan B, because if you go into the tournament and you're missing those shots, one game, one possession can make the total difference in the game. So you got to know what you're doing going down the stretch, and you got to find that game plan that's going to work. Hopefully, if you're not hitting those threes now, you'll find something that's going to work.
I just think it's going to be half-court offense, half-court defense. You know, those two things are gonna make or break you. They always do come playoff time because teams don't rip and run as much as they have during the regular season. They kind of cherish each and every possession of the ball. So those teams that are proficient in the half court, a lot of times they're going to be able to come out on top. The threes that are taken in the half court sets, coming off of plays, coming off of, screens, things of that nature, where kids have an opportunity to set up and launch it, are going to be better than those that are going to be just swinging it down the court and stop and pop, that sort of thing. But, so it's just a matter now when you're getting into playoff basketball, those kids being able to execute on both ends of the floor in the half court, because you're not going to get as many opportunities that you've gotten during the regular season to just come down and just rip and run and get it out, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Carlos, I'm a quote a football. I'm a quote a Jaguar football phrase. You know what that is? Defense, Jags, defense.
A lot of defense.
Yeah,
that's
that's what it's gonna in playoff basketball in the postseason. To me, it's about defense, and that's why we've been successful for the most part in the postseason. Now we haven't been able to get it done in the championship, but Southern's defense gonna have to come with it. I mean, and if they do that, which they have been, you might not shoot but 39% or 40%. If you do that and get stops and use your depth well, which Southern has done, I think Southern University will be right there. But in the postseason, nerves, things get tight, free throws get tight, and so this thing could change. But I think, to me, to answer your question, I think defensively, that's where teams win with defense, and I think Southern's defense is right there, and we'll see if other teams can slow other teams down, because 3-point shooting, I think that's what's wrong with the NBA today. 3-point shooting, too much of it. I saw a game the other night. All I saw was just three jacket up threes, nobody on them. Just, I think it was Minnesota and Phoenix the other night. Just, that's what partly the problem with the NBA, too much 3-point shooting. We got some really good teams that can shoot the three. Bethune-Cookman, Jackson, Alabama State, Texas Southern, FAMU, they're really good from beyond the arc. But is that what's going to carry the day in the SWAC tournament? Not necessarily. I think the teams that can get the stops.
I'm going to quote the great Charles Barkley. 3-point shooting can shoot you in a game and shoot you out.
Yeah.
And in the playoffs, things change. Now, of course, he's talking about the NBA, but you also can kind of relay that to the SWAC tournament coming up. So all the little things, like I said before, the hustle points, getting that rebound, taking charges, just those little things. And then, too, the intensity will be twofold in the tournament. But again,
consistency and intensity are going to be important. And when you talked about Southern University, you talked about a basketball team, especially on the women's side, who's been the best defensive unit this year on the women's side of the basketball. If they continue to lean heavily on that, I don't think they'll have any trouble down the stretch. It's going to be tough games all the way through. But I think that what Wheeler just said a minute ago and Charles just said, when you talk about half-court games, defense is going to be the thing that's going to dictate how well you come out in this tournament. And Southern doesn't allow a lot of second-chance opportunities.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, it's also about, include matchups in this. And Charles Alcorn, Coach Gilbert, they're happy if they get to match up with Southern in the second round. They are so confident that they can take care of Southern University.
Well,
so it's all about matchups.
Well, it'll be in the championship game. It's the same path we had last year. We take on the 3 seed, the 2 seed, and then the 1 seed. So if we see Southern, it'll be for all the marbles. But, we still got tough matchups in that first round. That 3 seed, that's tantalizing. Could be A&M, could be Jackson State, could be Texas Southern. And again, with this Lady Braves team, you have no idea how they're going to come out. You would hope with this veteran group, considering what they fell short on last year, the same group is back this year for the most part. They will be hungry to get over that hump. but we've seen consistently inconsistent. That has been the case. The question is, can we build some momentum after the Valley lost the other night, get some momentum to go to Atlanta? Because the team is going home after the game, and then on Monday going to Atlanta. There, if it was up to me, if I was an athletic director, I would ask the coach, do you want to leave Pine Bluff and go to Atlanta? If you want to do that, I will allow you to do that, even though you're probably not playing till Thursday. The banquet is Monday, so the athletic banquet for all the teams, I would say leave here and go there, but that's a whole nother logistical discussion for another day. But
I'm looking at Wheeler. He seems like he's
Wheeler
a little bit.
I would expect the coach. I would expect the coach to come to me and ask that particular question. If it's not on his mind, I got some trepidation there. Why is it not on your mind to the point where, you're not knocking on my door or calling me on the phone? Can we go up tomorrow or what have you? Can we roll out after the game or what? That sort of thing. That kind of speaks towards the coach's mindset, not necessarily the athletic director's mindset. Do you want it? If I got to come to you and say, Charles, do you want to leave tomorrow as opposed to Wednesday? As opposed to Charles coming to me in advance, and saying, Will, really like to get up there early, if at all possible, that sort of thing. Something I've been thinking about. Think that it'll serve us better moving forward. Then I'm like, yeah, Charles, we can let's see if we can make that happen.
Yeah.
But if I got to bring it up, then obviously it wasn't on your mind. So where are you? I'm throwing that in the evaluative process.
I disagree with that one.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Charles.
If
we
coach
sunk all year, where are our priorities?
I kind of disagree with that one. And even though as I understand your point, but a head coach in the Southwestern Athletic Conference already has a lot going on during the course of a season, injuries, issues, whatever you got going on. And as an administrator, I want to try to get ahead of my coach. And so I understand that what you're saying, but I would ask weeks in advance, hey, tournament's coming up. Do you want to leave early if you want to? I'll put that on his plate. Let him think about it, or let her think about it and get back with me on it if they choose not to. Now, for us, spring, the reason why I'm saying is because spring break has started for us. So there's nobody on campus, really. There's no need to go back on campus. Now, we're doing it from a financial perspective. We're saving a day of meals and hotel and all that. Hotels aren't cheap based on where we're staying in Atlanta by the airport. So I understand, I get that. But I would make certain, as we've talked about, to make the financial considerations to make it happen if a coach wants to do that. But I would ask the coach first, just being ahead of the coach, because coaches have enough on their mind winning and losing games and just practice and everything else. I'm trying to help them as best as I can, even though that's probably not my concern in a way, but it is my concern as an administrator. I will get ahead of them on that.
I feel you, Charles. I feel you. At the same time, that's why we have assistant coaches on staff. We have a guy that's in charge of travel and all that sort of thing and stuff.
Yeah.
That's his job to bring that up to the head coach. Look, did you talk to Will about us going up early or, something to that effect, that sort of thing. So, while it may not be on the head coach's mind, it better be on somebody on that staff's mind to the point where, they're putting all that in front of the head coach so that he can make the necessary adjustments he needs to make in order to make it happen. Because just like, it's my job as an athletic administrator to try to get ahead of these things. Don't forget now, I got 14 other sports. And everybody's jumbling and juggling at the same time. Everybody thinks their sport is the most important thing since sliced bread going on at this time. So if you're waiting on me to be the be all end all and to think of everything in advance, then that might not happen simply because of all the food that's on my plate.
Yeah.
So I would expect one of your coaches to be ahead of those things. Just like I'm gonna blame the assistant coach if the head coach get a technical foul, because you should have been over there pulling him back from the line. You should have been over there in his face. Come on, coach, let's go. You got to come on back here. We can't use this right now. Don't need this right now. That sort of thing. Because like you just said, head coaches got a lot of things on their mind, and in the heat of the moment, anything can happen. I need somebody on that sideline that's a voice of reason, a voice of calm, that's going to pull you behind back out of there when things are getting a little too dicey. I'm going to let you go to a certain point now, because it may be beneficial for the team.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to let you walk across that line, to the point where now you're headed to the locker room or what have you. What we're going to do now? That sort of thing. So, like you said, that's the value of having good assistant coaches on your staff.
Yeah.
People that think of those things, people that stay ahead of those things, and think ahead of you as the head coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, because to his point, during basketball games, a lot of times I watch what goes on, and I said you can attest to that. They come out, the team is assembled. Sometimes they'll bring out the chairs on the court. And I noticed the head coach is talking to his right-hand man and the other assistants. Because, I remember when Alcorn came, I was teasing Charles after the game. I was like, man, Bussy, he's lucky he didn't get a technical foul. I mean, it's 10 players on the court. It was 11 on them most of the time. Because Bussy was out of that little box.
Oh, yeah, he's good for that.
And I appreciate that, because Sean Woods used to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and I'm telling my best friend, man, what happens? And it hadn't happened. Hopefully it won't happen. Somebody's in the emotion of it running down the court. The coach get hit.
Yeah.
He gets a torn ACL or a knee. Or worse yet, a player gets hurt. And I get it. It's the emotion of it. If I was a basketball coach, I would definitely have to have 2 number 1 assistants. Because I probably would get a technical foul all the time. Man. But I noticed during the timeout, they are really talking to the assistant coach. Ask A.D. Wheeler, why isn't that already part of his budget?
And sometimes it is a part. Sometimes it is a part. You try to budget for any eventuality. You try to set some money aside for, if this is happening, that's happening, that sort of thing. So not to say that the money isn't there, but at the same time, if you try to know things in advance and try to set aside dollars in advance for every eventuality, you ain't gonna have no money, because everybody's gonna want to do the same thing. That the budget's just not gonna be able to handle everything. So you're gonna have to be able to take different situations, into account. And at the beginning of the year, your major sports, you definitely want to try to budget, for that particular aspect of what may or may not happen. At the same time, how you guys playing? Where are we in the grand scheme of things? We're just thinking it up all year, and we all know that tournament time, anything can happen. From an administrative point of view, you got to, do I really have a shot to win this thing? Am I just wasting dollars, just throwing dollars out there by sending you early, and you 0-11, in the conference, that sort of thing? You the very last seed. Do you really have a shot? That sort of thing and stuff. So those are kind of things got to go through your mind also. But you try to budget ahead of time. But you got so many things that may come up over the course of the year, in terms of transportation expenses, in terms of hotel expenses, all that sort of thing. And, it's not that you don't plan for it. It's just that a lot of times other things are liable to come up, you got to find the money somewhere. And a
Yeah.
lot of times you're going to dip into another fund somewhere where, yeah, I think I hit a couple dollars over here. Let me try to reach over here, that sort of thing. And you may wind up shorting somebody in the long run.
I have heard stories, Carlos, of teams that, and I mean, just the scuttlebutt that I've heard at these tournaments where you hear coaches, assistant coaches who handle the budget say, man, we really didn't have the money to get here, but the university found the money for us to get here. And so, I mean, I've heard plenty of stories about that. And I think that's just an expenditure that you just have to get ready for and deal with. For me, and I'm not an AD, but if we're let's see. Let's say UAPB wins and they're 4-14 going into the tournament. I'm gonna do whatever I can to make it as comfortable for that coach in that program when they head to Atlanta. 4-14 in conference. They're in the tournament. Anything can happen. I want to make sure. I want to take the excuses out of it to where they want to be as comfortable as they possibly can when they go and play for the championship, because anything can happen. And I want to make sure as an administrator, I'm not one, but if I was one, I'd make sure they have all the bells and whistles that they need if they want to leave after the game tonight to go to Atlanta. I'll make sure that happens to make them as comfortable as they can so they can play as well as they possibly can in the most important time.
Awesome. And if you got the dollars necessary, then that is real good. That's a real good thought to have, and the coach is going to love you for it and all that sort of thing. And, it's the prudent thing to do, Charles, and it's probably the right thing to do. Yeah, but like I said, as you search through that budget and you're looking for things at some point in time, you got to take all those things into consideration.
I'm going into, I'm not the nice guy. I'm going into that. I'm looking for a certain thing. You know where I'm going with, Wheeler? Let's see. Let's look. You brought in about $1 million. I think 10%. I think 5%. There should be no word getting me there.
Yeah.
I guess I would get fired though, because I get it. I get it, Wheeler. They're playing those guarantee games. That goes into most cases the general fund.
The athletic budget period for all the sports to be able to do that. Now if you do that for basketball, when volleyball time comes, and they want to leave 2 or 3 days early, you got to try to make provisions for them. If softball wants to leave 2 or 3 days early, that sort of thing. And if you keep trying to budget for that eventuality, at some point in time, you're going to wind up going over budget, especially if that's a standard practice for you. Or do you set a particular guideline in terms of record, in terms of where you are, that sort of thing, and do that on a case-by-case basis?
Well, guess what?
Rather than putting it in the individual budgets, you just put it in the general budget or in the AD's portion of the budget, and now you're ready to draw from it, if the situation comes up.
Well, let me say this. We got 4 minutes left. And then we'll hear from Ossie. Well, that is interesting. That is, some would say maybe a good problem to have. Some may say that's not a good problem. That's with 10 teams. Next year, it's everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mr. AD, I am President Emeritus. You need to find that money a year ahead. Set aside. Yeah. I don't care how you get it, just as long as it's legal.
Which was one of the major reasons why they stopped as many teams from going in the first place. That was part of the reason. Cutting it down from everybody going to 8 teams going or whatever, and having the first game at the site of the highest seed and all that sort of thing. All that was part of cost-cutting measures.
Well, and all of this is true. But as President Emeritus, I'm asking you, Wheeler, to find that and get back with me. And I don't want to hear no.
Sir,
I don't want to hear no for an answer. Honestly, we got 3 minutes left. You wanted to say
Tell you what,
add on
guys.
to it?
Yeah, you were just talking about coaching a minute ago, and actually during the course of a game having good assistants. The reason why you see coaches actually huddle before they actually go into talking to their teams with their other coaches is because the coaches on the sidelines see things differently, because as a coach, a head coach, you're processing different things in the moment. So there are other nuances that your assistant coaches definitely have an opportunity to see, and they can also help keep you under control so that you're not losing it in the process because of one play. Because you can get so caught up on one play that you forget about all of the other things that you need to take care of, and having good assistants kind of make you come back to center so that you can coach your team. Now, as a coach, the one thing that I'm thinking about at the beginning of the year is, where am I at the end of the year? Because I want to know, where am I going to play my last game? And is it possible for me to be already moving toward the site so that I have rested legs, rested minds, and prepared to go when I get ready for the tournament? And so I'm already making provisions for that at the beginning of the year. I'm already having that conversation on the front side. Now, if the money is not there, then we'll just have to deal with that as it comes along. But I already would have had that plan already put into place, and already have had that conversation at least once or twice with my athletic director to see where we are as it relates to our travel endeavors for the tournament, if I'm in contention to even go. So I just think that for me as a coach, I would want to already be there, but if I can't get there, then I just have to play it just like we normally would, and let the chips fall where they may.
Willa will get tired of seeing me coming in the office. Oh, there
And
he
that'd
comes
be
again.
okay. That'd be okay. That wouldn't. I'm telling you, Carlos, that would not bother me now in the league.
Oh, I know, Willa.
That lets me know your level of caring, your level of understanding what's going on, and that you're on top of things. And I respect that, no doubt about that. If I don't see you, then I'm gonna wonder why.
Oh yeah.
On that note, valid points for everybody on the panel. Want to thank the panel, Coach Pettaway, of course, Charles, Wheeler, and Ossie Clark, our extraordinary producer. I just call her Miss Melody, Miss Mel. Thank you for producing today's show. In the chat room, EA, I'm going to see you one day. I want to shake your hand. Willie Bolden, I want to shake your hand. Clark, everybody in there. I love it to death. You know, discussions. I enjoyed it on today's show. On that note, make sure you join us next Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time for another edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Until next time, as you see Charles with that chant, peace and God bless.